Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine, if you will, a soccer match. So utterly shocking, so profoundly one-sided, that it doesn't just register as a loss. It feels more like a seismic shift in the sports landscape.
Yeah, exactly.
Picture one of the most decorated clubs in history, Real Madrid. I mean, a name synonymous with dominance, suffering defeat so comprehensive it literally redefines expectations, sends tremors throughout the global soccer community. That's precisely what unfolded on July 9th, 2025 at MetLife Stadium, in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Right.
For millions of fans watching worldwide, it wasn't just a stunning result. For Real Madrid, it was, well, truly historic. An unprecedented defeat, their first ever loss in the FIFA Club World Cup.
You're absolutely right to call it seismic. It really was. This wasn't, merely a bad day at the office for them. It was a moment etched into the annals of elite soccer, a performance that, well, people will be dissecting and debating for years. The sheer scale of it, that 4-0 thrashing against a club with Real Madrid's pedigree, their flawless record in this specific competition, it just makes it stand out as truly exceptional.
It really does.
It's a testament, I suppose, to the fact that even the giants of the game, they're not invincible. Not always.
Absolutely. So our mission in this deep dive, it's to go far beyond just the scoreline. We're here to understand not simply what happened, because, let's be honest, the numbers already tell a pretty stark story, but how. And maybe more importantly, why Paris Saint-Germain achieved such a masterclass in tactical and individual brilliance.
With the flip side, too, right.
Exactly. Conversely, we also need to unravel the unraveling. What this monumental defeat signifies for Real Madrid, a club clearly at a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And what broader implications it holds for the ever-evolving landscape of elite soccer. We'll be exploring the key moments that decided the match, the strategic decisions that paid off or, spectacularly backfired, the standout individual performances, and the broader context that makes this match just so much more than 90 minutes of soccer.
And to do that, we've really immersed ourselves in a stack of sources, trying to illuminate every angle of this story. We've pored over detailed match reports, not just for the goals, but for the little nuances of play.
Right, the details.
We've crunched and analyzed in-depth statistical breakdowns. Those paint a picture far clearer than any highlight reel could, really. We've absorbed expert commentary from seasoned analysts who dissected every tactical tweak, every individual misstep, and crucially, we've even integrated direct quotes from the players, the coaches themselves, capturing their immediate reactions, their insights straight from the dressing rooms.
That's great context.
Yeah, these sources collectively paint this vivid, almost real-time picture of a game that, in many ways, it felt decided before the first half was even, truly underway.
Let's jump right into that stunning scoreline then, because it's the kind of result that, for anyone following the sport, it makes you do a genuine double take. Paris Saint-Germain 4, Real Madrid 0.
0, yeah.
That's the finality of it, the absolute one-sidedness. And for context, look, this wasn't some preseason friendly or a minor cup tie, was it?
Not at all. High stakes.
This was a high-stakes FIFA Club World Cup semifinal played on the grand stage of MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in front of a massive expected crowd, too. 77,542 screaming fans.
Huge crowd.
The atmosphere was electric, primed for a clash of titans. And instead, what we got was this stunning, almost unbelievable demolition.
What's immediately fascinating right from the onset, and what those early statistics began to highlight with such stark clarity, is how quickly this narrative of dominance was established.
Right, straight away.
This wasn't a game of two halves, where one team comes back after a strong start from the other. No. The contest was, effectively decided within the opening minutes.
Literally minutes.
The numbers from those initial exchanges, they reflect a complete and utter control from PSG, a team that just immediately seized the initiative and, frankly, never relinquished it. It was less a gradual buildup of pressure and more an immediate, overwhelming torrent.
And when you say immediately, you really mean it. The 6th minute. I mean, to put that into perspective, the game had barely settled. Fans may be still finding their seats, and PSG's Fabian Ruiz had already opened the scoring. Walk us through that sequence, because it set a truly ominous tone for Madrid.
Yeah, it really did. It began with an uncharacteristic, almost inexplicable defensive error from Real Madrid's young defender, Raúl Asensio.
It's Asensio, right.
He attempted a pass out of the back that was just, loose, poorly weighted. It effectively gifted possession to PSG deep in Madrid's half. Ousmane Dembele, always alert, he pounced on it, unleashed a powerful shot.
Courtois was in goal.
Courtois, yeah. And as you'd expect from one of the world's best goalkeepers, he managed to make an initial superb save, parried it away, but the danger wasn't cleared. The ball rebounded perfectly into the path of Fabian Ruiz, who was sharp as a tack, perfectly positioned from his advanced midfield role, and he just calmly slotted it home.
Wow. 6th minute.
That quick opening goal, a direct result of a defensive misstep, it was a harbinger of Madrid's struggles to come, and it immediately ignited PSG's confidence. You could just see it.
And it wasn't just the tone setter, as you said. It was an alarming trend that continued just 3 minutes later. 3 minutes. In the 9th minute, Ousmane Dembele, who, initiated the first goal, he doubles the lead himself. This was just a nightmare start for Madrid.
It really was. That second goal just compounded Madrid's early woes, and it stemmed from another critical defensive lapse, this time from the usually reliable Antonio Rudiger.
Rudiger, too. Oof.
Yeah. He delivered a wayward pass, completely misjudging the pressure, gifting PSG possession again in a dangerously central area. Dembele, with his characteristic composure, his blistering pace, he didn't hesitate.
Wouldn't.
Took a touch, sized up Courtois, and then finished clinically, low and hard, into the net, to concede not just 1, but 2 goals within the first 9 minutes.
Unbelievable.
Especially against a team of PSG's quality. It meant the contest, in a practical sense, was effectively over before Real Madrid truly had a chance to settle.
Okay.
Or even breathe.
Yeah, game plan out the window.
Totally. They were in an almost insurmountable hole, psychologically, strategically. It completely derailed any pre-match plans they might have had.
And PSG, sensing blood in the water, they didn't let up, did they? They just kept pressing, kept coming forward with this relentless energy. In the 24th minute, Fabian Ruiz, already on the score sheet, he bags his second goal of the match, cementing PSG's dominance before we even hit the half-hour mark.
Yeah, this third goal was a masterclass in PSG's attacking fluidity and Fabian Ruiz's intelligence, really. Achraf Hakimi, pushing high from his right-back position, delivered a perfectly weighted assist from the right wing.
Hakimi against his old club, too, sort of.
Well, not directly Madrid, but yeah. This showcases PSG's ability to stretch Madrid's makeshift defense, exploit the wide spaces that their narrow 4-4-2 formation often left exposed. We'll get into that formation later, I'm sure.
Definitely.
But Ruiz, again, demonstrating this incredible understanding of space, his clinical finishing. He latched onto the pass and calmly put the ball in the net. By the 24th minute, 3-goal deficit. Any lingering hope of a Real Madrid comeback felt not just incredibly distant, but entirely extinguished.
You could see on their faces.
Oh, yeah. The body language on the Madrid players spoke volumes. They looked completely shell-shocked.
And just to underscore PSG's utterly relentless nature, even with the game well and truly decided, they kept pushing for more, didn't they? Late in the game, 87th minute, substitute Gonçalo Ramos completes the route, putting the cherry on top of an already dominant performance.
Yeah, that's right.
It just showed that PSG kept their foot firmly on the gas pedal. Never took anything for granted.
Precisely. It wasn't about easing up or, going into cruise control. It was about seeing the game out with conviction, maintaining that high level of intensity, that tactical discipline right to the very end.
That's the Luis Enrique style, isn't it?
It's a hallmark of his coaching philosophy, absolutely. And the statistics from that early period and, the full match, they really underscore this complete and utter control. PSG controlled a staggering 68% possession throughout the entire game. Just think about that for a moment.
68%. That's not just control. That's absolute suffocation. It's like they just deprived Madrid of the very air they needed to play.
Yeah.
And it's not just possession either, is it? The efficiency of that possession is key.
Yeah.
PSG had 12 shots, with 6 of those on target. Real Madrid, on the other hand, managed a paltry 7 shots, with only 1 of those actually on target.
1.
Just 1, yeah. That immediately reveals the vast gulf in performance, even before we dive deeper into the why.
And you've hit on a crucial point there. The quantity of shots is one thing, but the quality, indicated by shots on target, that's another story entirely.
A difference.
The sheer disparity in attempts on goal, and particularly on target, it highlights how effectively PSG not only neutralized Madrid's attacking threats, but also consistently created their own high-quality opportunities. Madrid's single shot on target suggests, their attacks were largely speculative, weren't they? from long range or just blocked by PSG's defense.
Which we'll get to.
Exactly. It paints this vivid picture of a team, PSG, that was always on the front foot, always dictating play, always looking for the next opportunity to inflict damage. It was really a clinic in offensive efficiency against defensive frustration.
Okay, so having unpacked the sheer shock of the scoreline and that rapid collapse of Real Madrid, let's now turn our attention to the architects of their demise, Paris Saint-Germain. Because like you said, this wasn't just a lucky day for them or simply capitalizing on Madrid's errors, though they did that too.
They certainly did.
This was, truly, a deep dive into their strategic brilliance and some really standout individual performances. This victory wasn't merely a fluke. It felt like the compelling culmination of a patient, meticulous 2-year project under Luis Enrique.
That's a fundamentally crucial observation. And it's where the narrative shifts from simply what happened to how and why PSG looked so dominant. This victory was absolutely not born out of an overnight tactical tweak or, a stroke of luck.
No way.
It was the direct result of a deliberate, long-term strategic plan being meticulously implemented by Luis Enrique since he arrived. Under his tutelage, PSG has cultivated this extraordinary degree of tactical flexibility.
You see it game after game.
Yeah, and it isn't just about changing formations on paper. It's about a core philosophy where players are comfortable in multiple roles, able to fluidly shift positions, adjust pressing triggers mid-game, execute different attacking patterns depending on the opponent's weaknesses.
That adaptability.
Exactly. This adaptive intelligence allowed them to specifically identify and exploit Madrid's vulnerabilities with almost surgical precision. Something a club in Madrid's transitional phase simply couldn't counter. It speaks to a clear vision, consistent training, patient execution over a significant period.
And if we're talking about surgical precision, we absolutely have to talk about Fabian Ruiz. The man was undoubtedly the midfield maestro, rightly earned the Man of the Match award. Here's where it gets really interesting. Fabian Ruiz wasn't just scoring those 2 crucial goals. He was orchestrating, moving, dictating the entire pace. It was almost as if he had, a detailed map of Madrid's weaknesses in his head.
His performance was nothing short of exemplary, just outstanding. He controlled the tempo of the game from an advanced midfield position, acting as PSG's central hub, dictating their rhythm.
Finding those pockets.
Absolutely. His 2 goals were not merely well-taken shots. They were clear demonstrations of his intelligent movement into the critical half spaces, those vital zones between Madrid's central midfielders and wide defenders.
It's so hard to defend.
Incredibly hard. And this is a hallmark of Luis Enrique's attacking principles, designed to pull defenders out of position, create those pockets of space. Ruiz's ability to receive the ball on the turn in these pockets, combined with his precise, low finishes. It spoke not just to individual skill, but to a deep understanding, a flawless execution of PSG's positional play. It effectively dismantled Madrid's narrow 4-4-2 shape.
He wasn't just waiting for things to happen.
Not at all. He didn't just wait for opportunities. He actively created them through his superior positioning and those incisive runs.
Yet he wasn't alone in that midfield, right? His individual brilliance was definitely amplified by the collective. How did he synergize with Vitinha and João Neves? They seem to create such an overwhelming advantage in the center.
That's a fantastic point because, individual brilliance often thrives within a well-structured team. Playing alongside the equally dynamic Vitinha and the astute João Neves, PSG's midfield trio just completely overwhelmed Madrid's central players.
They couldn't cope.
They couldn't. They were constantly making triangular movements, creating overloads in midfield, effectively exploiting the spaces that Madrid's disjointed and, frankly, often disorganized pressing left open.
So it wasn't just Ruiz.
No, it wasn't just individual brilliance from Ruiz. It was a collective midfield effort, built on seamless interplay, quick one-touch passing, constant off-the-ball movement. This allowed Ruiz the freedom to operate in those crucial attacking areas, knowing his flanks and rear were covered. His clinical finishing was the direct consequence of this superior midfield control, but the foundation was laid by the relentless, cohesive work of the entire central unit.
Another player who truly stood out, especially considering his circumstances, was Ousmane Dembele. This was his first start of the tournament after being out injured, right? Yet he was immediately decisive, a goal and an assist.
Dembele was an absolute revelation. Yeah, especially given the context for starting the tournament. He immediately reestablished his presence on the pitch, became a constant torment for Madrid's makeshift defense with his blistering pace, his unpredictable dribbling, direct running.
He's so dangerous when he's fit.
Exactly. His ability to take on defenders one-on-one created chaos, drawing multiple Madrid players out of position, opening up vital channels for his teammates. And beyond his crucial goal and that decisive assist for Ruiz's opener, his defensive work rate was also really noteworthy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he consistently tracked back, put pressure on Madrid's fullbacks, helped maintain PSG's compact defensive shape. It was a really complete performance that went far beyond just his attacking contributions, showed his commitment to the team's overall tactical plan.
And the statistics just keep reinforcing this overwhelming superiority, don't they?
Yeah.
Painting an even more detailed picture of PSG's dominance. We mentioned the 68% possession, but let's drill into the passing. PSG completed an astonishing 681 passes to Madrid's mere 306.
681 to 306. Wow.
That's not just quantity. It speaks profoundly to control, movement, and the sheer flawless execution of their system.
It speaks volumes about their tactical dominance and the stark contrast in team cohesion. Completing nearly double the passes of your opponent isn't just about keeping the ball. It indicates a team that is retaining possession with clear purpose.
Moving with intent.
Precisely. They were constantly moving the ball, creating angles, pulling Madrid players out of position, executing their offensive patterns with precision. This level of passing superiority reflects, well, a high degree of team cohesion, an innate understanding between players, and a masterful execution of Luis Enrique's system.
While Madrid were just chasing shadows.
Pretty much. Madrid, on the other hand, was constantly chasing the game, unable to establish any rhythm, retain possession for meaningful periods, or build coherent attacking plays. They were simply reacting to PSG's every move, which is incredibly draining, both physically and mentally.
And that control, that passing precision, it translated directly to shot attempts and effectiveness. We touched on it, but PSG, 12 shots, 6 on target. Madrid, 7 shots, only 1 on target. That single shot on target for Madrid just screams frustration and helplessness.
It's a truly damning statistic for Real Madrid, and a glowing one for PSG. It unequivocally shows that Madrid's attacks were largely speculative, often from distance, or simply blocked before they could truly threaten.
Couldn't get close.
It highlights their complete inability to penetrate PSG's well-organized and resolute defense. Conversely, PSG was consistently creating clear-cut chances within the penalty area, forcing Courtois into multiple saves and ultimately finding the back of the net with impressive regularity. It was just a stark contrast in offensive effectiveness, one team creating, the other flailing.
Speaking of defense, let's not overlook the truly impenetrable Parisian defense. Gianluigi Donnarumma, PSG's goalkeeper, had a remarkably quiet day, didn't he? Making just 1 save throughout the entire match.
Just the one.
That tells you more about the collective team in front of him than maybe his individual performance on this particular day.
Absolutely. A quiet day for Donnarumma is the highest praise you can give to the collective defensive effort of PSG. They recorded their 4th consecutive knockout stage clean sheet in this tournament.
4th in a row. Wow.
Which is an incredible feat in itself, especially considering the quality of opposition they've faced, culminating in, well, Real Madrid. Their aggregate goal difference in these knockout matches is an astounding 14-0.
14-0. Goodness.
Almost unheard of at this level. This showcases a deeply ingrained systemic strength, not just individual brilliance from a few defenders. Every player, from the forwards pressing high to the midfielders tracking back, understood and executed their defensive duties with unwavering discipline and intensity. This strong defensive spine provided the platform for their attacking players to flourish.
And it speaks volumes about their squad depth too, doesn't it? They managed this impressive defensive record. And the overall victory, despite missing suspended key defenders like William Pacho and Lucas Hernandez.
Keep players out, yeah.
Plus, they tied a Club World Cup record with 9 different goal scorers in the tournament. That kind of versatility and depth is truly a powerful weapon for any elite team.
It really is. And it's another testament to Luis Enrique's project. It demonstrates that PSG isn't reliant on 1 or 2 individual superstars to score all their goals, or even just a single defensive pairing to hold the fort.
Goals from everywhere.
Exactly. Goals can come from multiple sources, making them incredibly difficult to predict and defend against, as Madrid found out. This depth, coupled with the tactical flexibility we discussed, allowed them to maintain their incredibly high level of performance across the board, even with key players sidelined. It highlights a mature squad where every player understands their role and can step up when called upon. That's a critical characteristic of truly dominant teams.
Now, for every story of triumph like PSG's, there's often one of unforeseen struggle. Having illuminated PSG's strategic brilliance and clinical execution, it's now essential we turn our lens to the other side of the coin, Real Madrid's unprecedented calamity. This is a deep dive into what went wrong and, frankly, a lot went wrong. Starting with Xabi Alonso's tactical experiment, that 4-4-2 formation, which proved to be utterly ill-fated.
Yeah, and this raises an incredibly important question for any manager, doesn't it? When does adapting to key absences become a strategic misstep? Or even, a self-inflicted wound?
Right, a gamble too far.
For Real Madrid, abandoning their previously successful five-man defense, which had provided stability in earlier rounds, proved catastrophic against PSG's fluid attack. Alonso's decision to deploy an experimental 4-4-2 was, as you say, forced by critical absences. Specifically, Dean Huijsen's suspension and Trent Alexander-Arnold's injury, both crucial to his preferred back three system.
So his hand was forced somewhat.
Somewhat, but against a team like PSG, with their attacking fluidity and wide threats, that tactical gamble backfired spectacularly. The narrower 4-4-2 left Madrid vulnerable in the wide channels, precisely where PSG found so much joy.
And the consequences of that tactical shift and the pressure on new pairings, they showed almost immediately with those glaring defensive errors we talked about.
Yeah.
The central defensive partnership of Antonio Rudiger and Raul Asensio just looked completely disjointed, really struggled under pressure.
You saw it unfold right from the opening whistle. Critically, as we noted, both center backs committed errors that directly led to PSG's first two goals. This wasn't an isolated incident or a single lapse from one player.
No, it was systemic.
It exposed a fundamental lack of understanding, communication, and cohesion at the very core of their defense in that new setup. Rudiger and Asensio, accustomed to different systems, different partners, seemed to lack that ingrained communication, that spatial awareness required at this elite level.
Which
Often led to both players being drawn to the same ball or leaving critical gaps in their zone. Classic symptoms of a defense still finding its rhythm rather than being a cohesive, impenetrable unit.
Yeah.
And PSG, well, they ruthlessly exploited these vulnerabilities.
It wasn't just the back line being exposed, was it? The midfield seemed to offer alarmingly little protection, leaving the defense completely vulnerable time and again.
Exactly right. Madrid's midfield quartet Arda Güler, Jude Bellingham, Aurelien Tchouameni, and Gonzalo Garcia, despite their immense individual talents, their high profiles, collectively, they failed to provide adequate protection for their exposed defense.
How so in the 4-4-2?
Well, in the 4-4-2, their roles were less defined in terms of defensive screening compared to maybe a system with a dedicated holding midfielder or three central defenders. They were often outrun, outpassed, or simply bypassed by PSG's quick one-touch play and fluid movement.
Just couldn't get a grip.
They were unable to effectively screen the backline or disrupt PSG's quick passing and those intelligent runs into the half spaces. It just left Rudiger and Asensio constantly vulnerable, isolated, forced to deal with PSG's attackers directly and often outnumbered.
The pressure on Xabi Alonso must be immense.
Yeah.
Particularly for a new manager just 3 weeks into his tenure with a club like Real Madrid. That's a tough start.
Incredibly tough.
And his post-match comments really highlighted the disparity in preparation and team cohesion, didn't they?
They absolutely did. Alonso's comments perfectly encapsulated the massive gap in preparation and team cohesion between the two sides. He admitted, quite candidly, and I think this is a direct quote, "They are a team that has been built in 2 years, and we are just starting here, so it will take time."
A dose of realism there.
It wasn't an excuse, I don't think, but a clear acknowledgement that his team, still in its, nascent stages under his leadership, was simply not ready to compete with a PSG side meticulously crafted, refined, ingrained with a specific philosophy over 2 full seasons.
And that decision about the defense.
Yeah, his decision to abandon the five-man defense, which had served Madrid well in previous rounds of the tournament, it backfired spectacularly, allowed PSG to exploit those wide spaces left by Madrid's narrower 4-4-2 shape. It just highlights the immense challenge of quickly implementing a new vision at a club with immediate, sky-high expectations.
And then there's the highly anticipated matchup involving Kylian Mbappe against his former club, PSG. For many, this was the individual storyline of the match. But it didn't exactly go as planned, did it? He was largely an isolated and ultimately pretty ineffective figure up front.
It was, yeah, for one of the world's biggest stars, an utterly anticlimactic performance on the grandest stage. Mbappe had reportedly been suffering from gastroenteritis before the match,
Ah, okay.
which may have certainly affected his physical output, his sharpness. But regardless of the cause, he cut an increasingly isolated figure up front alongside Vinicius Jr.
Could get him the ball.
While Madrid's inability to control the midfield meant very little quality service reached him, and PSG's defense was specifically designed to neutralize his threat. They employed this disciplined tactic of cutting off his passing lanes, denying him space to run into behind the defense, often double-teaming him whenever he received the ball.
And the key stat.
What's most striking, and incredibly rare for a player of his caliber, his goal-scoring prowess. He failed to register a single shot on target throughout the entire game.
Wow. For Kylian Mbappe.
That is an alarm bell. Yeah.
And the criticism didn't hold back after the match, particularly on social media, I saw. Former France international Frank Leboeuf, for instance, he openly questioned Mbappe's work rate and commitment during the game.
Yeah, the scrutiny was, as you'd expect, intense, perhaps even amplified given the narrative playing against his former club.
Yeah.
For someone like Leboeuf to question his work rate, his commitment, it speaks to a perception that maybe he wasn't fully engaged or putting in the defensive shifts expected, which is, well, uncharacteristic for Mbappe.
And this result ranks pretty low for him personally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This result, in fact, ranks among the absolute worst defeats in Mbappe's entire career. It's comparable only to PSG's shocking 5-1 loss to Lille back in 2019, which also garnered significant criticism. That comparison alone puts into perspective the true magnitude of his individual performance slump on such a grand, high-stakes stage. It begs questions, maybe about his physical state, perhaps even his mental focus in such a highly charged environment.
Amidst all this devastation, though, and the tactical breakdown, there was one moment that provided a sort of bittersweet, almost poetic counterpoint to the result. Luka Modric's farewell. This was his final appearance for Real Madrid, wasn't it? A true club legend, making his last bow.
It was a truly poignant moment, yeah. It momentarily transcended the crushing reality of the scoreline. As he was substituted, the entire MetLife Stadium crowd, all 77,000-plus fans, rose to their feet in unison, gave him this heartfelt applause, a prolonged standing ovation.
He deserved that.
Absolutely deserved recognition for a true titan of the game. A midfield maestro who graced the Santiago Bernabéu for over a decade, delivered countless moments of magic, contributed to an era of unprecedented success.
An icon.
It was a legend's departure amidst the ashes of a historic defeat, underscoring that even the greatest careers can end on an unexpected note, and that the unwavering appreciation of the fans can still shine through even in the darkest moments.
But even he couldn't change the tide.
No, sadly. Even the introduction of a player of Modric's immense quality, his experience, it couldn't stem the Parisian tide. The damage, unfortunately, was already irrevocably done.
So, having meticulously analyzed the match itself, let's zoom out now and consider what this all means beyond the 90 minutes. For a club synonymous with European and global dominance, a club with Real Madrid's storied history, this defeat isn't just a loss. It's a chapter in the history books they'd much rather rip out. It marks a truly historic low point for Real Madrid in this particular competition.
It truly is historic, and that word isn't used lightly in the context of Real Madrid, is it? This defeat unequivocally ended Real Madrid's previously perfect club World Cup record. Before this match, they boasted this incredible run, 17 wins, 3 draws, without a single loss in the competition's history.
Never lost before this?
Never. For a club of their immense history, their unparalleled success in international club competitions, to suffer their first ever defeat in this tournament, and in such a comprehensive, utterly devastating manner, it's truly unprecedented.
Yeah.
It forces a reevaluation. It redefines a significant chapter in their already storied history, and it sends a clear message about the shifting dynamics at the very top of global soccer. It's a statistic that will, well, haunt them for some time.
And this match really highlights a fascinating, almost stark contrast in club trajectories, doesn't it? On one side, you have PSG's patient 2-year project under Luis Enrique finally bearing significant, undeniable fruit, culminating in this masterclass performance.
Right.
On the other, Madrid finds itself embarking on yet another rebuild under their third manager in as many seasons. It really showcases two fundamentally different approaches to club development.
The contrast couldn't be starker, and it speaks to a broader philosophical divide in elite club management, I think. PSG's success here is a powerful testament to consistency, strategic planning, and critically, allowing a manager the necessary time and resources to implement his vision, build a cohesive unit, player by player, over multiple seasons.
Giving Enrique that time.
Exactly. Luis Enrique has been given the latitude to develop a specific playing style, integrate new talents within that framework. Madrid, by contrast, seems caught in this cycle of managerial changes, immediate demands for success, which often leads to tactical gambles, short-term fixes, maybe a lack of long-term stability and strategic direction.
You see it sometimes.
This result truly highlights the dividends that patience and a clear, unwavering vision can pay versus the turbulence and vulnerability that can arise from constant upheaval at the top level. It's a fundamental lesson, maybe, in modern club development.
And fascinatingly, there was an unseen opponent that played a significant, albeit maybe indirect, part in all this: the weather. And the immense disruption it caused to Real Madrid's pre-match preparation.
Yes. This is an important contextual factor. It can't be overlooked, though it certainly isn't an excuse for, a 4-0 performance.
No, but it contributes.
It contributes.
Yeah.
Real Madrid's flight from their Miami training base to New Jersey was severely delayed by a massive system of severe thunderstorms. Their team plane was forced to circle Virginia for an agonizing 2 hours, just unable to secure landing clearance due to the hazardous conditions.
So hours circling. Wow.
Yeah. Eventually, FIFA had to intervene directly, working furiously behind the scenes to secure landing clearance at LaGuardia Airport, which wasn't even their originally intended destination.
So chaos before they even arrived.
Exactly. This considerable delay forced the immediate cancellation of Xabi Alonso's crucial pre-match press conference, severely impacting their already minimal preparation time for such a crucial semifinal against an opponent like PSG. The physical and mental toll of that kind of travel disruption, less rest, truncated tactical discussions, it would undoubtedly affect any elite athlete.
And beyond the travel chaos, the playing conditions themselves were absolutely brutal, weren't they? That had to play a role, too.
Oh, they absolutely were. Temperatures at kickoff reached a scorching 90 degrees AFRY, that's 32 degrees C, combined with high humidity. Fabian Ruiz himself, who was on the winning side, remember, so probably less drained, he described it post-match as scorching heat and difficult conditions to play in midday.
Not ideal for high-intensity soccer.
Not at all. While both teams had to contend with the heat, it undoubtedly added an extra significant layer of challenge for a Real Madrid side already struggling with cohesion, defensive vulnerabilities, and facing that relentless tactical pressure from PSG. Fatigue sets in faster, decision-making can be clouded, the ability to execute high-intensity pressing or fluid attacking movements becomes exponentially harder.
Like I said, not an excuse for 4-0,
But it's a tangible factor in the physical and mental toll experienced by the players, particularly those already off their rhythm.
For PSG, though, this victory against Real Madrid keeps alive their pursuit of something truly unprecedented, a historic achievement that could define an entire era, a quintuple of major titles. They've already secured Ligue 1, the Coupe de France, and the Champions League this season.
Yeah, this dominant win brings them just one victory away from adding the FIFA Club World Cup to their already impressive haul. Should they achieve it, they will complete an unprecedented quintuple of major titles in a single season.
That would be incredible.
It's a historic achievement in the making, underscoring the absolute dominance they've shown across all competitions this season, a testament to their consistency, their depth, their unwavering focus on every competition they enter. This goal provides an immense psychological boost, driving them to push for even greater heights.
And let's not forget the immense financial stakes of this expanded tournament. This new 32-team format for the FIFA Club World Cup has transformed it into a true global spectacle with an immense financial scale. A staggering $1 billion in total prize money alone.
The financial incentives are indeed enormous, adds another critical layer to the importance, the prestige of this competition. For the winner alone, the prize is set to be a staggering $125 million.
$125 million.
Yeah. This puts the significance of reaching and winning this final in sharp relief for both clubs involved, not just in terms of global prestige and sporting glory, but also in terms of substantial financial reward that can be reinvested into squad development, infrastructure, future transfers. It's a major new revenue stream that is definitely changing the landscape of club soccer.
So what lies ahead after this incredible semifinal? PSG now advances to face Chelsea in the FIFA Club World Cup final, July 13th, 2025, back at the very same venue, MetLife Stadium. That sets the stage for the next and potentially most historic chapter in this narrative.
It does, and PSG will enter that final as clear, undisputed favorites, wouldn't you say? Given their utterly dominant performance against Madrid, their overall season record,
Hard to argue against it.
they have yet to concede a single goal in their last 4 knockout matches this season, maintaining that astounding 14-0 aggregate goal difference. They've demonstrated incredible squad depth, tactical flexibility, and unwavering winning mentality.
Yeah.
Chelsea will undoubtedly have their work cut out for them. They face a team brimming with confidence and, on the cusp of making history.
It'll be fascinating.
It will be a fascinating tactical battle to see if Chelsea can find a way to break through PSG's seemingly impregnable defense and disrupt their fluid attack.
So, to recap our deep dive into this seismic soccer event, we've meticulously broken down the overwhelming dominance of PSG, highlighted by their tactical brilliance, strategic patience, those standout individual performances.
Yep.
We've unraveled the surprising and truly historic nature of Real Madrid's collapse, delving into their ill-fated tactical gamble, their glaring defensive errors, the uncharacteristic struggles of their star players.
The whole package.
And we've also integrated the various contributing factors, from those unseen environmental challenges to the contrasting club trajectories that all converge to create this landmark result.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this result is far more than just a single game, isn't it? It fundamentally challenges assumptions about established giants versus emerging powerhouses in global soccer. It forces us to critically consider what constitutes sustainable success in the modern game.
Good point.
What does it tell us about the long-term projects under consistent management versus the immediate rebuilds under new leadership? Is patience truly the ultimate virtue in club development, or can immediate high-stakes gambles pay off? This match provides compelling evidence, maybe, for both sides of that ongoing debate.
And for you as our listener, what stands out most from this deep dive? Was PSG's surgical precision, the culmination of Luis Enrique's 2-year vision, or perhaps the sheer weight of Madrid's uncharacteristic errors and Xabi Alonso's difficult initiation?
Or maybe Mbappe.
Perhaps it's the broader implications for Kylian Mbappe's future with Real Madrid, or the undeniable shift in power dynamics within the very top tier of the sport. It's a game that will undoubtedly be analyzed, debated, and referenced for a very long time to come. A true turning point, maybe, in the contemporary soccer narrative.